Dominic here on Non-Stop Kids. Well, today, as you can see, we're outside because we're going to try balancing. Now, juggling's not just throwing things up and catching them. There's all sorts of other parts of a juggler's skill set. So we're going to learn to balance things. It's easy, doesn't take a lot, just a little bit of practice. So I hope you're ready. You need something to balance. What we need really is something that's long. So I'm using a duster. When you balance things, girls and boys, ladies and gents, the longer it is, the easier it is. You also want something with a little bit of weight or mass. And ideally, the mass should be at the top rather than at the bottom. So with this duster, the weight's in the handle. So it's easier to balance it like this than it is like this. You can do both, but when you're learning, it's up to you. I mean, you could start off with something quite big, like this broom. Now, a broom has got a flat end and a weight, so the mass we have at the top. And we can balance. So, how do we balance? Well, we start off using our hand. And because we're going to start off with something that's easy, we're going to use the flat of our hand. So, for demonstrating, I have quite a heavy stick. Hold out your hand flat and put your balance object in the middle of your hand. Now, if you start with something small, like a pen, it's not very easy. So you might try something like a spatula from the kitchen or a wooden spoon. These are all the things that you can balance. So all we're going to do is hold out our hand flat and stand it on our hand. Now, here's the tip. This is the secret. You look at the top of the object. So for me, I'm looking at the top of the pole, up here. And I try and keep my feet solid, just move my hand a little bit if I need to. Now, when you're learning to balance, it's about baby steps. And how can we take those baby steps? Well, use a stopwatch or count and set yourself a target. So we're going to start off balancing till I can count to 10. So if I hold my hand flat, balance my stick, look at the top, and I count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. Now you can use a watch or a stopwatch and try and build up so you can do 10, 15, 20, 30 or seconds or even a minute. Now when you can balance it on the flat of your hand, we're going to make things a bit harder. We're going to use one finger. So, hold your finger out, balance the stick, keep looking at the top of the stick, and away you go. Now, this is a bit harder. And I'm trying to keep my elbow and my body still. Now, if you find you're running around a lot, girls and boys, kneel down. You can learn balancing kneeling down. It means you don't run and you just concentrate on using your hands. So, we have one finger. And that, girls and boys, is basically how we balance. When we can do one finger, and we can do it for, let's say, a minute, we can then start to do tricks. So, we're going to start off on our first finger and balance. And what we're going to try and do is move to our second finger. Whoa! And then try and move back. So you start on one finger, and you move to another finger, and you move back. Now, that's a little trick. Another trick you might try is, instead of balancing on the flat of your finger, balancing on the tip with your finger like this. So if I hold my finger like that, I still have to keep looking at the top of the object. So, we've got some little tricks. But balancing a stick or a spoon, they're all relatively easy, once you remember to look at the top, because their shape and mass means all the weight goes down, and we want to keep the bulk of the weight over our finger, because if we let the weight go this way too much, it will just fall over. That's physics. So I've got some other things here. If I'm balancing my duster and I'm looking at the top, now we're outside with the wind, so it's a bit more difficult. It might not be possible to move it between fingers because the area's too pointy. I still look at the top. You might try something like this, a dustpan brush. Again, you can start off balancing it on your hand, in the middle of your hand, looking at the top. Ooh. And when you feel you can do that without too much wobbling, you can extend to your finger. Look at the top. Now, if you're doing it inside, you don't get wind. And we have a bit of wind today, so because it's wide, it catches the wind, so I have to work a little bit harder to compensate for that. However, some things don't have regular shapes. You can still learn to balance them. You just have to work out where their centre of mass is. So with a triangle, it's normally about a third of the way down from the triangle top. So if I put the middle here over my balance point on this coat hanger, and I keep looking at the top, I can start to balance it. It might be better starting on my hand first, or some people prefer the finger. And it is just that, girls and boys. It's practice. Find where your balance is, whoop, and off you go. You'll have to excuse me, because I'm outside. We're on a housing estate with builders, so we've got lorries and cars going by. I hope you can all hear me still. Now, I like balancing funny shapes. This is a plastic watering can, so it's not too heavy. I keep all the mass at the top, and I'm going to try and balance it on the stout. Now, because there is a wind, I have to be careful, because it's quite light. But if I keep looking at the top here, I can use my arm to move and balance. But it's just like juggling, girls and boys. If you drop things, it doesn't matter. And you can try different things. This used to be, do you know what this is? Well, this used to be what we had on our washing line to hold it up. So you can balance it on either end. Okay. You can make it look impressive. Ooh. But remember, I'm trying to keep looking at the top. Always trying to keep an eye on as high as I can go. Now, girls and boys, if we practice this, we can move on to more complicated things next week. Next week, we might try learning how to balance things on our chins. But not yet. That's next week's video. So, I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about balancing today. Have a practice and have a play. Please be careful though. I'm outside, so I've got space, but I have to be careful I don't drop things on the cars. And it doesn't matter what you balance. How you balance it, just have a try, but be safe. If you're using something long and you're inside, try kneeling down. It's just the same, and have fun. So, till next time, happy balancing!